We are live.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everybody to our session of Risale-i Nur discussion on the Quranic truths about the Creator, God's attributes, and divine unity. This will be our third episode on the perfection of Lordship from the second ray in the Risale-i Nur Collection. We have Colin Turner Hoja from Durham, United Kingdom, and we are expecting Nazif Hoja to join us. Actually, he has joined us from New Jersey. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the previous 2 weeks, we had been making inquiry about the name of Ahad, Ism Ahad, and we were trying to find answers to this question. Why does the beauty of the Most Merciful become hidden if you do not look at the particular beings through the lens of divine unity? For example, when looking at providing sustenance to living beings, curing the sick, and guidance to belief. And we will continue from the second fruit today. The first fruit considered the most pure and holy one, the creator of the universe. Now the second fruit considers the universe and its essential nature. Yes, it is through the mystery of divine unity that the perfections of the universe are realized and the elevated duties of beings understood, and the results of the creation of beings are established, and the value of creatures known, and the divine purposes in the world find existence, and the instances of wisdom in the creation of living beings and conscious beings become apparent, and behind the stern, angry faces of the violent storms of upheaval and change, the smiling, beautiful faces of mercy and wisdom are seen, and the numerous existence of transitory beings, such as their results, identities, true natures, spirits, and glorifications, which they leave in their places in the manifest world before they depart, are known. Furthermore, it is only through the mystery of divine unity that it is known that the universe as a whole is a meaningful book of the eternally besought one, and all beings from the ground to the divine throne are a miraculous collection of divine missives, and all the realms of creatures are a magnificent regular lordly army, and all sorts of beings from microbes and ants to rhinoceroses, eagles, and planets are diligent officials of the pre-eternal sovereign. And since they act as mirrors to and have a relation with that sovereign, the value of all things infinitely surpasses their individual value, and the answers are revealed of the unsolved, abstruse questions. Where do these flood of beings and these caravans of creatures come from? Where are they going? Why did they come? And what are they doing? Otherwise, these elevated perfections of the universe would vanish, and those lofty sacred truths be transformed into their opposites. It is because the crimes of ascribing partners to God and disbelief constitute aggression against all the universe's perfections and its sacred truths and the elevated rights of beings that the universe becomes angry at the disbelievers and idolaters. The heavens and earth become wrathful, and the elements unite to destroy them, overwhelming and submerging those who ascribe partners to God, such as Noah's people and the Ad and Thamud peoples and the Pharaoh. In accordance with the verse, "Takadu tamayyazu min al-ghayb," well nigh bursting with fury. Hell so rages and fumes at the disbelievers and ascribers of partners to God that it almost bursts apart. Yes, to associate partners with God is a terrible insult to the universe and a great transgression against it. By denying the sacred duties of beings and the purposes of their creation, it insults their honor. To illustrate this, We shall allude to one example out of thousands. For example, through the mystery of divine unity, the universe resembles a huge corporeal angel, glorifying, sanctifying its maker with hundreds of thousands of heads to the number of species of beings, and with hundreds of thousands of mouths to the number of members of those species, and with hundreds of thousands of tongues in every mouth to the number of organs, parts, and cells of those members. A wondrous collection of elevated creatures engaged in worship like the angel Israfil. Through the mystery of divine unity, the universe is also an arable field yielding copious crops for the worlds and dwelling places of the hereafter, a factory producing numerous goods such as human actions for the levels of the abode of bliss, and a movie camera with 100,000 lenses continuously taking pictures of this world to show to the spectators in the eternal realm, and especially in paradise. To ascribe partners to God is to transform this truly wondrous, absolutely obedient, living, corporeal angel into a lifeless, soulless, unemployed, perishing, meaningless, wretched, futile collectivity, revolving in the tumult of events and storms of change and darkness of non-existence, and to convert this strange, utterly orderly, beneficial factory into an idle, confused, unconscious plaything of chance which is without product or result or function, to make it into the playground of deaf nature and blind force, a place of mourning for all intelligent beings, and the slaughterhouse of all living creatures, and a veil of tears. Shall we stop here for a while, Cezmi abi? Why does Ustaz discuss that the value of all living beings in this universe is dependent on the reality of Tawheed, divine unity? Nazif Hocam, would you like to talk about this a little bit?
It's a difficult question. Yeah. I'd like to give my still turn to Colin Turner, so maybe if he can say something, then I'll add.
Okay, can everybody hear me well now?
Yeah, it's very clear now that I fixed my volume. So I think if anyone's having a problem, I think it may be their volume, their own volume.
Okay.
That could be. Yeah, I don't have any problem. That's not.
So Colin Hocam, the second fruit looks at the universe and the all created things in this universe as compared to the first fruit, which is about the creator himself. So here we also see that even the value or preciousness of all things in this life are also dependent upon this reality. Why?
Bismillah. I think that the only way of reading the creation is to read it through the filter of unity. And it's very easy to say that, and I've said it quite a lot, that, we read in our Aqidah that Allah is one, and this is divine unity. And we all know that the first principle of belief is Tawheed and divine unity, but it's very easily said and not so easily understood, interpreted, and internalized. But if we don't do that, we can't really understand creation, and creation loses its value. Ustad Nursi is maybe the only theologian in the past 500 years who has put such emphasis on deconstructing Tawheed, but more importantly, deconstructing it into its principal components of Ahadiyya and Wahidiyya. And I don't want this to come across like, a sterile theological issue, because it isn't. It's something very practical. It's something very immediate. To see Allah as Ahad means seeing every single event, every single being in creation at every moment, seeing it as something which Allah is attending to at this very moment, and also in a way that is unique. So every single being in creation is created uniquely, with unique proportions, with a unique configuration of divine names and attributes. It has its own specifications. If we don't see the ahadiyya in creation, it's very tempting to do what the materialists do and say that, well, this whole universe came into being 16 billion years ago as a result of a huge explosion, and it has been going on itself, sustaining itself since. And even if we do posit the existence of a God, well, then God is the one who started things off, and then let everything carry on as one would do with a photocopy machine. And not seeing ahadiyya means that we see things firstly as identical. We see lots of identical things. We don't see the inherent and very obvious difference in every single being. So we look at billions and billions of snowflakes, and even though we are told that each one is unique, we just see them as snowflakes. We very, very rarely consider the uniqueness, and that's telling us something. It's telling us that everything God creates, he creates uniquely, and he creates continuously. So God is not an absentee landlord. He's not a constitutional monarch. He's not a prime mover who starts things off and then lets things carry on by themselves. And this is the ahadiyya side. With the wahidiyya side, this is what enables someone like Ustad to posit the whole of the universe as a single being, a single corporeal angel. Because we know that the universe is basically comprised of angelic activity. Every single being in creation is carried by an angel. Every amr, every order of Allah is carried by an angel. And just as ahadiyya shows us the unicity and uniqueness in everything, wahidiyya shows us the connection that every single thing in the cosmos has. So the cosmos cannot be attributed to more than one creator because of its inherent similarities and connections and convergences and similarities. As well as being unique, as well as everything being unique, everything is also connected. And that allows us to see the whole of the universe as one being created by one being. And this is what Ustad is doing here. So what he's doing, he's opening up Tawheed, and he's showing us these two main components, ahadiyya and wahidiyya, without which we cannot interpret or read the creation as it is. And that's when we lose, that's when we suffer.
Thank you, Colin Hocam. Very well explained. Last week you mentioned that there is difficulty of translation of the words of the terms wahid, ahad into English. In Turkish, we use those Turkified words directly, adopting them from the Arabic. But in English, they're usually translated as the one or the single one, but nuances are flattened in that translation, right? And
absolutely, yeah.
So wahid basically means not having any partner, and God is the single one, whereas ahad means having no like, no equal, no peer, nor opposite. So there is this nuance even in the lexicon. Even in the lexicon, the literal meanings differ. But when we try to use the two terms in one English translation, it doesn't explain things. So maybe we should use the Arabic terms directly.
Yes, I think we should. I think in any translation, and I'm trying to do this with the retranslation of the Risale, is using the Arabic with a footnote and a short explanation. so that we get used to using ahad and wahid. I mean, we can translate wahidiyya as inclusive unity, perhaps, or inclusive oneness, and ahadiyya as exclusive unity or exclusive oneness, because the unity and the oneness that we see in a snowflake is exclusive to that snowflake. No other snowflake has that unicity, has that uniqueness, has that oneness. But then we can say that the whole of the creation exhibits inclusive unity, because everything is included in it and everything is attributed to the same source. But you're absolutely right. Ahad and Wahid, we cannot capture the nuance in English. This shows the miraculousness of the Quranic language.
Thank you. I really like this, your own translations, the inclusive unity and inclusive oneness, inclusive unity and exclusive oneness and exclusive unity.
I can't promise that they're mine. I think they are, but I may have read it somewhere and forgotten and then used it again. So I'm not going to claim it as my own. It's not copyright.
But so far the best, I think.
I think so. Yeah, I liked it. Either when I read it or when I thought of it.
Okay.
And practicing side is also very important. Just now, just since Kolnajam, so he reminded me just a couple nights back, we just passed this like now just a beautiful night of Miraj, and I was just thinking about like, and I was also kind of just reading and just listening to a couple of brothers just when they were discussing about seeing. Seeing is, of course, I mean, just it is a different kind of practice, and how and what I learn from Risale-i Nur every single day, like you brothers, of course, I mean, maybe not like much you, but just studying and practicing it and understanding, of course, I mean, just and finding out like how can I practice, of course, but it is very easy, like Kolnajam, like when he mentioned about like how Said Nursi is breaking down and teaching us like through Risale-i Nur. Is that so? Yes, of course. I mean, maybe it is not easy, of course, but like, of course, just becoming a believer. But at the same time, it comes with an ease, inshallah. So just what is that just basically opening our eyes and opening our heart and seeing, like he mentions, like here, just miraculousness, right? So like, just because like how he manifests, like just Allah Almighty, just every single day. So even like by simply, when you're having a breakfast and just eating some sort of kind of eggs, right? So like, where does it come from? So just basically asking those like these very, very simple questions yourself. And then of course, I'm just finding that it just goes to only one direction. Like, I mean, of course, as he mentioned here, so miraculousness comes directly from him. So, right. So then he says, miraculous collection of divine missives, and all just the creatures like coming from just only one source, only from one direction. Even from microbes to the rhinos and eagles and everything, and just to the simple kind of hen, right? Just like you're eating an egg, and you're asking yourself, like, where is this coming from? And this just simple animal has no idea about me, but then like it just keeps offering. So that means like that's why he says like right after that the legend, right? So these are kind of keywords that I like. That's Said Nursi uses officials of pre-eternal sovereign. So these are officials. Like now that means, so now just as soon as we start seeing them, right? So as soon as like we start understanding it, then immediately we see and understand our job, like here, our first like and most task is like just to become like basically submitting, right? So like now it basically requires, as soon as you see all these miraculous signs, that means like now you have to submit to someone who knows you better than you, and who sees you and who understands you and sends you like just whatever that you need, right? So like the most you need is like eggs, like some nutrition comes through just like just some sort of kind of just very silly animal, like kind of just a hen, and then you need some honey, it comes like just some sort of kind of bug, right? So like now he basically just gives you. So now just what happening is like now answering these questions, right next to us, where do these things like just come from? And then they all come from like from only one source, and Allah Almighty. And then of course, I mean, just immediately, then it needs your submission, right? So like there is some sort of kind of requirement. So now then, of course, I mean, this bond, right? Like between, of course, I mean, just the creature and the creator is like now somehow form, like begins to form. And that, like, inshallah, so like now that, of course, I mean, that sort of kind of, just a beautiful relationship does not, right? Does not need, or does not somehow, like, see that if you somehow miss or make a mistake of ascribing partners to Allah Almighty, then of course, I mean, just you will be subjugated to somehow, like, a very, like, just crucial kind of just a punishment. Then of course, I mean, just of course, now then he says, like, so then hell becomes like so rages and fumes at the disbelievers because of this. Like now, if as soon as you somehow ascribe partners, that means you are disrespecting all these diligent officials of Allah Almighty. Then you are somehow, like, calling them liars. So like, no, you're not diligent officials of Allah Almighty. You're just like just some randomness, right? So then of course, you're somehow, like, calling them all liars. Of course, that sort of kind of bond, if as soon as it somehow, like, becomes like it crashes itself, boom. So then you deserve some sort of kind of hell punishment. So it is, I think it is so beautiful, but just like trying, and it's so, of course, just seeing this and then just forming this, like, submission and understanding that belief, how, like, why is it so important? And somehow, like, if you say that, oh no, I don't care, like, I only believe in Allah. So like, what if, like, there is no something wrong, like, calling or somehow, like, just saying that, oh, this comes from here or there, or some sort of, or maybe, just trying to, like, minimize, right? Like, so seeing that, oh, so it's so minor kind of thing, just like ascribing partners. No, as a matter of fact, it's not, because, like, if you see that, then in different part of it, Risale-i Nur, he mentions that if you just, like, keep doing that, so then you become, like, of course, some sort of kind of just, an ignorant, right? So you're just like, because, like, if you become so ignorant at the presence of an ignorance, so like you can easily see a lot of, just disrespectful events, like, would take place. So I think, like, I like this part a lot, like that how Ustaz Said Nursi, like, in different parts of Risale, he keeps, like, reminding that, like, never forget these parts, like that how like, belief is so important. So we cannot ignore, especially these important kind of facts, that just like seeing them, practicing them almost every single day. So how important they are. And then of course, just then offering our thanks, like then another, of course, another thing that we just, we will definitely just keep, like, ponder over this every single day, but at the same time, then don't forget to offer your thanks, like, just through, of course, just beautiful hours, just, prescribed prayers and other things that we can do. Yeah, thank you. This is the one that I wanted to add.
Can I just say a couple of things in light of that, what Nazif was saying?
Certainly.
Yes, please go.
Can you hear me, or has my volume gone?
Yeah, we hear you well, Hojam.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I hadn't spoken to or met Nazif before, so it's really good to meet you, Nazif.
Thank you. Yeah, likewise.
There's the one thing you said which really caught my attention. Well, most of it caught my attention, but you said that belief is not easy, but it comes with ease. And that may sound like a paradox, but it's not. I know exactly what you mean, and it's a brilliant way of looking at it. It's not easy to be a believer, but belief comes with ease. Belief makes life easy.
Yes.
Belief makes existence very easy because you're only serving one God. Mm-hmm. Whereas attributing partners, and again, this is the second thing which stood out, is when you said that it may seem very trivial when we talk about assigning partners to God. Shirk is described very easily in books of Aqidah, but what actually it means, it's to do with ownership, because what partners as the ascription of partners is about positing ownership on behalf of the creation itself. So we see creation as owning itself, and we see that's if we are of this mindset, in order to be able to own our own actions and own our own attributes. And that creates our own hell. You know, the hell that, you know, was mentioned, I think, on the previous page. Hell is almost bursting with rage. That's what happens when you own your own actions and your own attributes, and you believe that you are the creator of your own actions. That is a self-defeating mindset. It just cannot win, and that's the, you know, the fury of the internal hell, which burns inside someone who realizes, as they become more and more degenerate, that it doesn't work, and that they are always hitting their head against the wall. So that's why it's a great transgression, because it's self-defeating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, self-defeating, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. And then just, like, of course, I mean, that deserves that sort of kind of punishment. So it's just you have every single just thing that just you need, and everything is given to you. Yes, there's some sort of kind of work, and then you have to follow some sort of kind of rules and regulations and whatever. But at the same time, so just the only just like things is asked from us is just so yes, maybe difficult, but yet so simple. It's just submission. So just accepting the fact, like, I mean, whatever that you are given, and everything comes from only from Allah. But at the same time, yes, it's just like when turning around, so getting distracted and everything, like with this, of course, I mean, especially nowadays, like, you know, with technology and whatnot. Yeah, it's so easy to forget, so easy to become so ignorant, and maybe sometimes, like, you know, so disrespectful, and just because of ego and everything comes with it. Just because you're going to just you have some sort of kind of just a little bit of, you know, access to internet, and just you're getting information immediately, so that instant gratification also is like, you know, putting a lot of people in sort of kind of danger. Just everyone thinks like they know everything. So but at the same time, just looking around and just and seeing all these, you know, creatures, and accepting that yes, they are all created, they all just serve only just to one, and the only one is not easy to say. Yeah, because, like, I mean, even some of my just when just talking to a couple of people, they just also said, yeah, I know, like, because if I say that, I know that it comes with some sort of responsibilities. And and then he was like, I remember, like, this guy, he was smiling because he knows, like, you know, what he's saying, right? So, like, just at the same time, because it just puts you with some sort of kind of dilemma, because, like, it comes with, like, an offering things. So it's that, I think that part is not easy. So a lot of people are not getting over their ego. And but our job, I believe, like, just from reading different parts of Risale, is just somehow teaching ourselves that just no, don't get caught up with that. So just look around and see the beauty, and acknowledge the fact that yes, like, seeing and looking is like totally different, but like acknowledging that they're all created by Allah, and who knows you, right? And just because, like, you know, we're eating some sort of kind of carrots and everything, so, and how would, like, my just my organs, right, all the limbs and everything, would know how to crush them, digest them, and then send all these, like, little nutritions and everything, so where they should go. So these are the parts that we every single day we keep forgetting. I mean, not we, like, just, I mean, overall, just as human beings, like, what I mean. So but then just within all this, so, and with these reminders and beautiful people, like, you know, just, I mean, brothers like you, so it is a great kind of atmosphere to remind ourselves, like, you know, just, hey, don't forget. So you have a duty, you're going into one direction, and you are the vicegerent of this, you know, of this universe. Why? Because you are a human being, you're a believer, so you can become something, like, in a way, even better than the angels. And the reason is because you're not looking into your, let's say, left hand side, and you're just moving towards right, and you're not getting caught up with your you know, just evil commanding soul. You're just overcoming that, like, in a sort of kind of force, and then just, stepping on top of it, moving towards, of course, God Almighty. So yes, so then you have a duty, and then at the same time, like you're acknowledging all these like officials, right? Officials of Allah Almighty, and you're just offering your thanks that yes, Allah Almighty. So like, here I am, right? I'm bringing all the thanks and everything. I acknowledge that these are all your subjugation, all just like in a subject, just your creatures. And I am here offering my thanks because you created me better than them. So because you gave me intelligence and just, of course, I'm in belief, and I'm offering my thanks, right? So it's beautiful to see all these, just little kind of jigsaw puzzles, right? Just, when you put them together, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you, Nazif Hajam. Ustaz talks about here that if there was no divine unity, then all the creation would then turn into a futile collectivity, or maybe absurdity of temporary existence, I may say. And why does he think that? Why the lack of thinking about divine unity changes all the meanings of this creation?
I believe it's almost kind of keystone, right? So as soon as you take out of that piece, and boom, everything collapses, I guess. So all we just things like just we said, even our conversation, simple logic, I think it won't work. So
it's a bit like building Suleymaniye, right? Or Selimiye, which is one of the greatest of Sinan's creations. It's like building it, and then when it's finished, bulldoze it, and then build it again, and then bulldoze it. Build it again, then blow it up with dynamite. Build it again and then bulldoze it. It's meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless. That's where is the sense in that? So what materialism does, it sees everything in creation as that kind of thing, something which appears and is unique and then disappears, but for no reason. For no reason, because at the end, all there is a 1 meter by 2 meter hole in the ground. And that's it, nothing else after that, complete annihilation. So I'm here to witness the Suleymaniye being built and then bulldozed, built and bulldozed, and then I go into my grave and that's it. I'm non-existent for eternity. What's that? That's meaningless. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Even a lunatic would find that strange.
Oh yeah, exactly. And just and just think about and also just Allah Almighty created every single things in the world, and then it puts some sort of kind of stamp, right? So it's and you start it talks about just seeing all these in a stamp, right? So yes, seeing them, acknowledging them. It's like so you're the curator of a museum, and then it's like almost kind of you're a very well-known and knowledgeable curator, and you know what piece belongs to just whom. So as if when I see in ourselves in the same way, some sort of kind of curator. So this is a beautiful kind of maybe gallery and manifestation, and we know by simply looking at every single creature in divine unities. Yes, so these are all his belongings, and I can easily see the stamp. Right, so by simple looking at it, and if someone tells me otherwise, I can easily say, oh no, look at this. It's a beautiful kind of animal. It's a beautiful bird, it's been singing, and it's a beautiful creature kind of cow. So it just gives us milk, and he knows us, and he just the official of Allah Almighty. So every single time, whenever you see some beauty of Allah, and then you're acting just a knowledgeable person, but of course, it can only happen with divine unity, all these the attributes of Allah. So otherwise, if we somehow ignore one of the names, just Colin Turner says, it's again and again, just collapsing it over and over. It doesn't work that way.
Thank you. Shall I continue or shall I ask another question?
Oh, you're asking difficult questions.
You can ask questions. It doesn't mean they're going to get answered.
Yeah, exactly.
So those misguided people, when they look at the creation, they adore it, right? They adore the nature, they adore the stars, the universe,
Yeah.
but they think that they are eternal, and it's an illusion, right? Even if the universe, the Earth, the planets seem misleadingly infinite, right? Even our own lives are transient. And that should spark, some sort of thinking about the temporariness of this, world, and try to find an eternal life after it, right? So it's a kind of great illusion, I guess.
Yeah, like you just said, I guess. So just it's illusion of time, illusion of just the happiness, illusion of any type of kind of just games, or like in some sort of kind of gadgets of life. So just everything gives some sort of kind of illusion to a lot of people around us. Like this, I mean, just even all of us. So, but I guess like I just there, it's this place is a arena of trial. So yeah, it's it doesn't mean, of course, we're not going to be tested. So Allah Almighty is going to test us like in this every single day, every single hour, every single year. So and it's also kind of it's a beautiful kind of just just working part of it, like kind of just factories like every single day. So all these like just wheels and everything, they have to be like just turning and turning, and then just over and over. So you have to meet one way or another. So but yeah, it's just a lot of people, they get caught up with this, and become, of course, misguided. So just misguidance like is so easy. And but of course, and then also like you just said, so they also see all these like beautiful law, like every single one of us, but it's immediately when you attribute it to us, any type of kind of partner. So that is the part that we are somehow like moving to different directions.
Yeah, what I'm alluding to here is that the constant creation and destruction going on in the universe actually answers answers the question of the mystery, right? And Ustaz will explain in the coming pages. Hopefully, I'm going to continue.
Please.
In accordance with the verse, "Inna shirka la zulmun azim," to assign partners to God is verily a great transgression. To associate partners with God, although a single evil, leads to such vast and numerous crimes that those who perpetrate it deserve infinite torment in hell. Anyway, since this second fruit has been explained and proved repeatedly in the illuminating lamp, we have cut short the long story here. A strange feeling and perception which drove me to this second fruit. It was like this. One time, when observing the season of spring, I saw that the successive caravans of beings, and especially living creatures, and the small young ones at that, which followed one after the other, and in a flowing torrent, displaying hundreds of thousands of samples of the resurrection of the dead, and great gathering on the face of the earth, appeared only briefly and then disappeared. The tableau of death and transience amid that constant, awesome activity seemed to me excessively sad. I felt such pity it made me weep. The more I observed the deaths of those lovely small creatures, the more my heart ached. I cried at the pity of it, and within me felt a deep spiritual turmoil. Life, which met with such an end, seemed to me to be torment worse than death. The living beings of the plant and animal kingdoms, too, which were most beautiful and lovable and full of valuable art, opened their eyes for a moment onto the exhibition of the universe, then disappeared and were gone. I felt grievous pain the more I watched this. My heart wanted to weep and complain and cried out at fate. It asked the awesome questions. Why do they come and then depart without stopping? These apparently useless, purposeless little creatures were being dispatched to non-existence before my very eyes, despite having been created, nurtured, and raised with so much attention and art in such valuable form. They were merely torn up like rags and thrown away into the obscurity of nothingness. The more I saw this, the more my inner senses and faculties, which are captivated by beauty and perfection and enamored of precious things, cried out, "Why does no one take pity on them? Isn't it a shame? Where did they come from? The depth and ephemerality in these bewildering upheavals and transformations which persistently attack these wretched beings." As I started to utter fearful objections about divine determining and the grievous circumstances of the other face of life and its events, the light of the Quran, the mystery of belief, the favor of the most merciful, and belief in divine unity all came to my assistance. They lit up those darknesses and transformed my laments into joy and my weeping into happiness and my pity into exclamations of "Blessed be God, what wonders God has willed." They caused me to declare, "All praise be to God for the light of belief." For through the mystery of divine unity, I saw that all creatures, and particularly living creatures, produce truly significant results and have general benefits. In short, all living beings, for instance, this adorned flower or that sweet-producing bee, are divine odes full of meaning which innumerable conscious beings study in delight. They are precious miracles of power. They are precious miracles of power and proclamations of wisdom exhibiting their maker's art in captivating fashion to innumerable appreciative observers. While to appear before the gaze of the glorious Creator who wishes to observe his art himself and to look on the beauties of his creation and the loveliness of the manifestations of his names is another exceedingly elevated result of their creation. A further elevated function of their creation is described in the 24th letter, is there serving in 5 ways the manifestations of lordship and divine perfections which necessitate the infinite activity in the universe. I saw that if it is a being with a spirit, besides benefits and results such as the above, since it leaves behind in its place in this manifest world its spirit and innumerable memories and other preserved tablets its form and identity, and in its seeds the laws of its being and a sort of future life, and in the world of the unseen and realm of the divine names, the perfections and beauties it has mirrored. Its apparent death has the meaning of a joyful release from duties. It merely passes behind a curtain of death and is hidden from worldly eyes. I exclaimed, "All praise and thanks be to God." These genuine, powerful, faultless, utterly brilliant instances of beauty and loveliness, which are visible in all the levels of the universe and all its realms of beings, have spread everywhere, demonstrate with complete certainty that the ugly, harsh, abhorrent, wretched former situation, which the association of partners with God necessitates, is impossible and illusory. For such ghastly ugliness could not exist hidden under the veil of such genuine beauty. If it was found there, that true beauty would be untrue, baseless, futile, and illusory. This means that the association of partners with God has no reality. Its way is closed, it has become stuck in a bog. What it posits is impossible and precluded. Since this truth of belief, which pertains to the emotions, is explained in detail with numerous proofs in many parts of the illuminating lamp, we shall suffice here with this brief indication. Wow, what a transformation, isn't it? To have such a perspective, to put that lenses on our eyes, and through that lenses, looking at the things outside in the world. Colin Hocam, Ustad talks about the necessity of punishment, eternal punishment in the hell for those who ascribes partners to God, and he justifies the necessity of such a huge punishment in the Risale-i Nur. I know that there are other traditions in Islamic, theology that's saying that at some point the punishment in hell would stop at some point because of the mercy of Allah. As we had read such texts when we are studying, Islamic studies, but here it emphasizes that it's really, important to have such a punishment. What can you say about this? What type of rationality Ustaz presents us here?
This is a difficult question because there is no real consensus as to the eternity of hell or the eternity of punishment in hell. It's quite vague, and what Ustad is saying is that shirk deserves eternal punishment, and it does. It deserves it. That doesn't mean that it will be eternal. That's another issue, and I think that this isn't the place for us to conjecture, on whether punishment will ever end. The thing is, if you steal, I don't know, if you steal $1,000, that's something that can easily be punished, right? And it can be then, if you repent for it, that's it. It's quantitative.
Right.
But shirk is not quantitative. Shirk is qualitative, and what it does, it destroys the soul. It puts black, we know this ridge which Quran talks about, this black kind of substance which dirties the soul, the soul covering the ruh. The ruh is, of course, directly from Allah, but covering that is our nafs. Maybe we can imagine it's covering it. And if you see that as something which is supposed to be, it's supposed to be transparent, if it's covered with this dark, it's degeneracy, basically, the darkness of shirk, then this is something which actually corrupts the inside of a human being. And I don't mean the physical inside. It corrupts the nafs. And to have a corrupted nafs, if it is so corrupted, this is not quantitative sin, there's no such thing as quantitative sin, but I think you get the point.
Right.
Stealing something, you get punished for it. Either you're fined or whatever happens, or you're imprisoned, or something which is quantitative. But qualitative, it's to do with the mind, it's to do with the heart, it's to do with the soul. And if they become diseased, then it's very difficult to put that right. And therefore, we know that some believers will also spend a short period in how can I say? I don't want to say hell because,
Yes.
but it's a kind of therapy, right? We have to see hell as therapeutic, particularly for those who will be there for a short period of time. There are lots of hadith about believers being in hell and being taken out, or people being in hell and coming out and going into heaven. What does that mean? For me, it's a kind of therapy. It can't be anything but therapy because Allah is not zalim, we are the ones who do the zulm to ourselves. And therefore, we punish ourselves with our mindset, and we have to want to be saved. We have to want to be redeemed. And unfortunately, some people don't want to be redeemed. And you can see it in this life. You can see people who are so immersed in self-worship, so immersed in sin, so immersed in crime, they don't want to be cured. They don't want to be redeemed. They don't want to achieve salvation. And the Christian theologian C.S. Lewis has a very interesting book that he wrote called The Great Divorce, which is about a day trip from people in hell. They go on a day trip to heaven to see what heaven is like. And when they get there, they can't tolerate it. They can't stand it. And they go back to hell. At the end of the day, they all get back on the coach and they go back to hell. I may not have done it justice because it's a very, very well-written book. But the thing is, you have to want to be saved. You have to want to be purified. And this is why Ustad is talking about eternal punishment. There will be some who cannot be redeemed because they are too far gone.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying thank you. Just that opened my mind, like this little, it's in a different. Yeah, I was just, yeah, thank you, Colin. Like, so just it reminded me, just a different way of just thinking that when thinking about like this now, how Ustad puts like it just in a way, and why like some people are maybe just in a way that they don't want to be saved, and putting that just like just a qualitative that I can easily that just open a great like part of like in some quantitative part of me saying that qualitative kind of just saying yes. I think like how I understand is it's because ascribing like a partners to Allah Almighty is just basically it is intentional, right? So like you can make a mistake, and then you can just like you can see that oh I made a mistake, and immediately you feel this type of kind of remorse, right? So I just okay I made a mistake. So then you start like repenting, but then that just that ascribing partners to Allah and just with that huge ego, it is intentional. So there is no way you can say that, oh, I made a mistake. No, and plus, like you just said, it's just it blackens your heart, it blackens your soul and everything. The reason is because you keep repeating it, not every day, not every hour, but every second, every just minute like just time of your life. So there is no way you can say that I've made a mistake. You just keep doing it, and you're basically getting pleasure out of it, right? So it just living in that sort of kind of, and plus, not only you're destroying your life, you're also just like somehow just putting a lot of people behind you, and you're dragging a lot of people behind you as well, and that just accumulates just in a qualitative kind of way, moving though in one direction. So, and I think that's why Ustad Allah says in I forgot, like maybe just me would remember that part. Doesn't he start like just in part of Risale? So like when they ask him, so listen to me and just carefully, just two brothers, like one of them wants to go in another direction. He just like warns him, listen, don't go to that direction. You're not only going to destroy yourself, but you're also going to destroy me, right? Because it's like don't go to that way. So it's just because you're going to just drag a lot of people behind you. It's just disbelief, like being misguidance is like in such a like in an awful kind of way, and I think it also just sees that. I believe that this part also reminded me that how it starts like maybe just maybe good intentions like at the beginning, maybe like seeing like a lot of people taking pity on them. Oh, these are beautiful creatures, but they die like in 2 seconds, 2 hours, 2 days, and then, but you're misplacing your love, you're misplacing your emotions in a way. I think this is the part that I see like how you start like, and it's basically I got my teaching from there, that because I was also kind of so feeling the same way like in my youth. But here it is like, no, don't look at that way. So just change your like, and it's basically angle, right? Like just don't put your little kind of flashlight on top of your head, but just you look at the Nur, like it's the big light. They look at the big picture, and here it is like Allah Almighty is like so rich, and He loves you, and he gives like all this like necessary intentions and basically just task for all these like little creatures, and just manifest everything in front of you. Everything is for you, right? Like you're the most beautiful guest, and He's just giving you all the manifestation, and just enjoy and of course give glorification to Him, right? Offer your everything like in supplications to Him. Be like happy with this, and at the same time give some sort of kind of just a beautiful role to these like little creatures, although like yes, they are just going away, they're transient, they're dying, maybe just like, but then like they're also doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. So but yeah, just with this sort of kind of ill intention, of course, it just goes like, and it becomes, yeah, thank you so much. I love that word, like, seriously, it becomes a qualitative kind of sin. Yeah.
Thank you, Nazif Hocam and Colin Hocam. We are coming closer to the end of our time tonight. Cezmi, are you around? Could you please make some dua for us?
Inshallah. Before the dua, I want to emphasize that, Alhamdulillah, Colin Hocam, Nazif Hocam very beautifully expressed how the destruction of the shirk, the associating partners of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the 10th word, the resurrection and the hereafter, Ustad is explaining how it is destructive, the unbelief and associating partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how it is corrupting the person, very beautifully explained there. I want to just read a few sentences. Unbelief denounces creation for alleged worthlessness and meaninglessness. It is an insult to all creation, a denial of the manifestation of the divine names in the mirror of beings. It is disrespect to all the divine names and rejection of the witness born to the divine unity by all beings. It's a denial of all creation. It corrupts man's potentialities in such a way that they are incapable of reform and receptive to good. So, Colin Hocam very beautifully expressed. Yes, it is every sin is putting in our heart a dot in the hadith Rasulullah is defining. So all these shirks, associating partners, it is corrupting. Unbelief is corrupting our potentialities. May Allah protect in such a way that they are incapable of reform and unreceptive to good. So it is utter injustice at the same time, injustice, transgression against all of creation and the rights of Allah's names. It reminded me of plagiarism and academics. So a person who is stealing another person's ideas, it is that person is punished severely, right? So a person who is denying Allah and ascribing to nature or ascribing to himself through ana, it's a great robbery, stealing the property of Allah Almighty. It's a great injustice, transgression against all of the creation, the rights of Allah's names. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is defining this as such, assigning partners to Allah is a great transgression in the shirk al-zulmun. Yes.
International law, crime against humanity, right? That refers something else, but can we say like crime against creation, a kind of cosmic crime?
Yes. Every bit of the universe will demand their rights from the person who is claiming shirk, associating partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you, Cezmi, reminding of that passage from the 10th word. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Inshallah, we can make dua if there's no other words from Colin Hocam, Nazif Hocam.
No, thank you. I'm done. Yeah, thank you. It was great. Yeah.
Inshallah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير ربنا لا تخرجنا من الدنيا إلا مع الشهادة والإيمان آمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتح.
Thank you very much, everyone. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for inviting me. See you later.
Yeah.